Welcome back to the Why Change channel. Change is also the topic of this video. Organizations, their products and processes change and evolve all the time. Change happens whether we like it or not. To be successful as business analysts, we must learn to expect it and master strategies for handling it. Accept and embrace business change is the next principle of the BA mindset. I'm Yulia, and through my business analysis experience, I know that it's not always easy to accept changes. Why do we find it difficult? Business analysts help organizations implement changes. Requirements define what needs to change to achieve a desired future state. If organizations did not need to change and transform, business analysts would have very little to do. Why then do we, business analysts, get flustered by change? Why do we expect the business systems to freeze in time and stay stable while we are doing requirements analysis? And then, when processes, rules, and requirements change after we've put all that effort into capturing them, why do we take it personally? Let's go back and talk about the concept of change and its meaning from a business analysis perspective. When we first learn about a business problem or need, we start with analyzing the current state and understanding how it functions today. Then, we need to define the future state. What do we want to achieve? The transition from current state to future state is change. And when we identify what specifically needs to change, we capture it as business requirements. Change in this sense is the essence of every project we worked on, and we have nothing against it. What we have a problem with is when the vision of the future state, the requirements we've captured, becomes a moving target. We grow attached to the product of our effort. We want to be clear on where we are going. After we have worked so hard on analyzing and capturing user stories, diagrams, and storyboards, it may be hard to hear a stakeholder say, "We will have to change this." "Something just came up," or "You would not believe this." As hard as it is, don't react with your emotions. The universe is not trying to annoy you. The world has not conspired to waste your work. We cannot always discover every factor, and even if we do, external events may introduce new factors into our carefully constructed equation. Change happens. Some events are out of our control. The best we can do is accept and adapt. Intelligence is the ability to adapt to change, said Stephen Hawking. Whether we are talking about the evolution of human race or changes and disruptions in your particular industry, the idea is still valid. How can you learn to do this as a business analyst? Always start with the first principle of the B mindset. Think of the value for the business. What is needed to help the organization achieve its goals? This is how we should manage change from the perspective of the long-term value for the business. Accept that changes are a reality. Discover and collect information. Understand the what and the why of the requested change. Apply analysis techniques to assess the change, its value, impacts, and risks. Identify requirements for implementing changes. Capture and validate them just like we do for all the requirements. Then, propose and evaluate options, taking into considerations work in progress, what is feasible and realistic. Facilitate the discussion, review all the pros and cons of different options, and do it with an open mind. And finally, assist your client in making the right decision about handling change, supporting them with your analysis. These are the steps you can take to accept the change and deal with it. Let's not now switch our thinking. Instead of being reactive and dealing with change that happens to us, how can we be more proactive? Can we embrace change as an inevitable reality? Can we learn to expect and anticipate change? How can we make the business more adaptable to it? Use your BA mindset as you are discovering the business problem and conducting analysis. Think of these questions. Does the organization undergo cyclical changes driven by external forces related to taxation, government regulations, seasons, or electoral cycles? How often do certain business rules change? How stable is a business process? When was the last time it needed to be revised? What are the reasons for frequent process changes? Are there specific activities or process steps that need to change more often due to seasonal, regulatory, or other change drivers? How frequently does the business create and launch new products? And what are the changes required to support the innovation? How do change in relationship with suppliers and customers impact the business system? And what are some examples and scenarios? And how innovative, disruptive, and fast-paced is the industry itself? Is the ability to change quickly vital to the survival of the enterprise? These are strategic questions, and answering them will help a business analyst identify requirements for supporting changes as part of doing business. What do I mean by this? Request that business rules can be configured by business users with appropriate controls. Include requirements to support changes to process parameters and steps with minimal software impacts. Consult with a data architect so that the requirements support smart management of master and reference data. This can help avoid a lot of changes when your reference and master data changes. And finally, work closely with the architects and software developers to come up with an adaptive and flexible solution to the business problem that can be modified more easily in future. To wrap up this episode, I want to emphasize that it's not about you against unexpected changes. Don't think of it as a battle with the wind. Think of it this way: the wind will always be there. You have to learn to adjust your sails. And you're not alone against change. Work with your clients, with architects and designers to find the best solutions that allow the company to adapt to current and future changes. You may be in the middle of requirements analysis when you learn about significant change. Don't feel resentful. Be glad that this information reached you, allowing you to adjust the results of your analysis and adapt to change. This is what we emphasize in the 9th principle of the BE mindset. Your guiding principle should always be to maximize the long-term business value for your client, and your experience of handling changes as a business analyst will be a valuable skill wherever your career path takes you next. We are at the end of this video. Join me in the next episode where we discuss what does it mean to be part of the solution. All the best on your journey, and see you soon.